2, 1, and we're live. Hey, Chance, I'm actually really excited to get this interview going here because I have Chance, which has a great story behind them, and I can't wait for you to tell the folks out there, what you do. Chance with R&R Home Buyers is a very cool guest to have because not only is he doing wholesaling and real estate investment at a high level at this moment, but he also has a unique story where Chance is from Canada, and he is not even living in Canada. He's living in another country, and he is investing and buying and selling, rehabbing, doing all this investment in the United States. One of the markets here is Florida. He's all around. And so I'm excited, man. So, hey, welcome on, Chance. Tell them a little bit about yourself. And, man, I can't wait to get this kicked off, bud.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for having me here. So a little bit about me. As you, Bill, mentioned, I am from Canada, small town. I grew up raising horses and then playing basketball. Those are things I really enjoyed. And then I got into engineering and then really enjoyed sales. And so there was a time where when I was in engineering, I began reading a bunch of personal development books and learning a lot about real estate. But the thing is, in Canada, when I was reading all these real estate books, it was all about the United States and all the cool things you could do there. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, now I know like a bunch of stuff about real estate in the United States, but not much about in Canada. So then meeting several guys that I've worked with in the past, they were also interested in doing this in the United States. So that took us on a journey on how to set up the entities, do this remotely. The cool thing is you have access to data. You can just do this with a cell phone and a laptop. And I also wanted to create a life where I can be anywhere and do work. So it's been pretty cool as I've been able to, travel between Canada, the United States, and outside the United States, and still be able to grab a headset, grab a phone, and get your script going. And then you just got to bang out calls. And, one of the models right now is make the USD and live off the peso. So I'm currently in Santo Domingo right now, and we're still running this. So we've been getting deals locked up, working with you, Bell, on the ones that we do dispo on the MLS. But that's been pretty cool. So now when I get tired and fatigued, it's like, oh man, I just need a vacation. So I go run to the beach, which is 10 minutes away, go hop in the ocean for a little bit. That's my vacation. And then I get back to work.
But you definitely put this plan together, right? But you definitely needed some guidance in this. I know you sought out a lot of coaching and education as well to kind of guide you through this journey, because you didn't just wake up and say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start wholesaling. What the hell is wholesaling, right? So how did you come up with wholesaling and real estate in general, in that, from where you were an engineer and you turned it into a real estate career?
Well, I got my engineering degree because I was fascinated by he was one of my mentors when I was playing basketball in North Dakota for a little bit. And just the way he thought about everyday life was very, very fascinating. So I wanted to get a professional degree, and I just was fascinated by the way engineers thought about life. So then as I was engineering, I was like, okay, well, you start looking at the career, the 9 to 5, and I was like, well, 9 to 5 is not really for me. So then I started reading all these books. And so you learn sales and marketing, any business, that's the lifeblood of it, is sales and marketing. And then I went into a sales job for engineering where I was designing these big electrical panels that were, 20 feet wide, 9 feet high, 3 feet deep for like hog barns. I designed one for one of the biggest Bitcoin miners in Manitoba. And
so
then I just realized
this is Bitcoin era, right? This is still
within
the last 10 years.
Yes. Yeah. This is within the last 5 to 6 years, actually, that I designed that one and sold it. And then I realized, I really, really enjoyed sales, but I wanted to go out and I wanted to sell a different product, because I was like, if I'm going to sell anything, why not get the best bang for what you're going to sell, the products you're going to move? Well, start moving houses. Well, that began a whole different journey of getting different mentors and learning this. And so, when we first came from Canada and we're setting up our entities and stuff to do this in Florida, We definitely overpaid for our entities and everything we needed set up, but we had no idea how to do it. So we found a guy that knew how to do it. He overcharged us, now that I think about it, but without that initial step, we would have never figured out like how to do the taxes in the United States and then goes into Canada, and how to flow that income back up to Canada properly. So that was kind of a little hurdle that we had to get over. And then the best way to get into real estate, in my opinion, is wholesaling, because you learn what a deal is. You develop partners with realtors, with buyers, with title companies, with everything. You get to learn the law, the sales side, what's a deal, about the properties.
So how do you take an approach to learning well, for me, it would be a second market outside, like, for me to go look at properties in Alabama, it's the same as for you to look at properties in Florida, right? It's a different market. But what resources do you use? How did you educate yourself to that? And how do you stay in touch with the laws and stuff that it takes to wholesale and stuff in these markets?
So one of the biggest things was just learning how to do the comps. We leveraged realtors in the very beginning to walk properties, and then also with buyers. And during the time when I started, it was much easier to find buyers than it was for deals, because the inventory was so low at that time. So it was easy to find buyers that would walk properties. And then as they give me estimates, I'd literally write down all the numbers. And I just kind of keep the numbers aside.
So you reverse prospected for what the buyer would pay.
Yeah. And then I had a mentor immediately. That was one of the first things I did, because we tried it for a couple months. I got actually my first wholesale contract within the first couple of weeks of doing this, but we didn't know how to close it. Like, we didn't know how to close it. We didn't know how to do that. And that kind of put a little bit of fear into moving forward, because now we have this obligation that we're not able to move or didn't know any of the next steps. And then it was learning, how do you vet a title company? How do you, once I met a really good title company in Florida too. And they've really helped me out. So I'm always,
they could make or break a deal.
Pardon me?
They could make or break a deal, right? Like,
they absolutely can.
A title company could certainly, help you or hurt you. So finding a good one's perfect.
Yeah. And so it was honestly just a lot of time on really leveraging the title company that was investor friendly, and leveraging them. And they helped a lot with the legal side of stuff. And then it was just, from our first day, I remember, dude, when we had just a 1-page contract.
I'll buy it, or I could assign it for this price, by this date. Here are the parties, right?
Yeah.
You could certainly do it. I mean, that's a buy owner contract, is whatever you put on paper and you agree to, right? But there's better contracts out there, folks. So please do not take that as the right way to do it. But it can be done. It could definitely be done. Yeah, the market's always changing, right? So how are you keeping track with the market right now?
Well, right now, thankfully, I have you to help me out with that as well. And then just being able to see market trends, and really going through the whole COVID era and seeing how everyone reacted to that. And there was a great book I read in Canada, and it was the real estate cycle. And what was really interesting is, in the real estate cycle, it was like the cycles continually repeat. And what they were saying in that book was like, look at the different media captions that they're going to be talking about. Like, when the market's super, super hot and it's cranking, they're going to have media posts that say, oh, you know what, the market's going to go like this forever, and everyone believes it's going to go on forever and ever. And then all of a sudden, when it does correct, everyone's surprised.
Yeah.
And so,
well, right now, it feels like the media is turning the other way, right? Where they're saying, hey, unaffordability, high interest rates, less demand, renter nation, things like that. So it seems like the media is spinning things in a different direction. There is some truth to that, but it seems like that's where you're right. Reading the headlines steers the ship sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, talk about headlines and reading and writing. So you also did something that's really cool, and you brought in some outside assistance to help you run your company, right?
Yeah.
You want to tell us about that and how that's going, man?
Yeah. So one of my dreams has always been was to take my son out of school and get him to work alongside me, and to build a culture and a team that I can bring him into, right? And so, anyways, I took the plunge. I was like trying to figure out, okay, I need a schedule, his school. A bunch of people that have never done it are always in your ear telling you what they need, what they don't need, how it should be. And honestly, I just took the leap. I was like, you know what? Whatever. Kids take vacations, because I remember in school, like there was kids that'd be gone for like a month and a half, and then they come back, and the amount of work that they missed was so little for the amount of time they were gone. And literally a couple of days of tutoring and they're caught up. But what really hit me was I was in university, I was in chemistry, and I was in first year, and the professor's like, all right, in the first 2 weeks, we are going to cover everything you've ever learned from grade 9 to grade 12. We're going to have a pop quiz on it, and then we're going to continue learning at that speed. And in that moment, I was like, whoa, so you're telling me I was in I was in high school this whole time and I could have learned everything in 2 weeks.
Dude, that's mind blowing, right? This guy just like destroyed your reality. It's like, look, this is how you really should learn.
For real. And then what was really interesting was, like, as I took my son, and so I put his desk right next to mine and just started him off with simple things. Like literally I gave him a 70-page sales script. And every day he had to read that 3 times. And I told him, I was like, you know what, when you get into business, you eat what you kill. And if you don't kill anything, you don't eat. So if you don't eat this 3-page script, you just don't eat. So he went a day without eating until he finished his
Oh my
script.
God. No pizza for you, buddy. No
No
pizza
pizza for you. And so I fasted with them too.
Wow. Hey,
I was like, today,
the tribe doesn't eat, right?
right? Exactly. The tribe doesn't eat, and when you're running a business, you're the last one to eat. So you got to make sure you're putting the work in, right?
Wow.
And then I was trying to think, like, what do I do for, he's got writing, he's got math, he's got, so a lot of the math he's been learning, we just do real world math. But the one thing he wanted to do is, I'm not sure if you heard of Andrew Tate's Real World.
No, I haven't. I've heard of Andrew Tate, but I don't know the real one.
So he has this real world school that he promotes, and it's got modern wealth creations. And so he's got content creation, AI. So Brax wanted to learn crypto trading. So that's his thing. So now he's writing notes everything on crypto trading. And then we'll go over that together. And that's the thing he wanted to learn. So not only is he writing more than he did in school, he's reading more than he did in school. And he's actually learning something that, by the time the kid's going to be 18 years old, he's going to be able to financially look after himself. And,
well, you're teaching him, you're also teaching him financial literacy, right?
Yeah.
You're teaching him a business skills, right? You can never go broke selling something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a skill that, just universally learning how to communicate is the first thing that I had to do when I got into business. I realized that not using scripts verbatim, but understanding the questions that you need to get out there and how to keep the conversations flowing so that you get it to where you need to go with your client so that you can meet their needs, right? So
exactly,
you need to learn how to do that. It's a skill, and the earlier you develop that skill, the quicker you're going to get what you want, right?
Yeah.
Which ultimately, sometimes it's money, right? Sometimes it's the freedom to do business from Santo Domingo with your son, right? It's amazing, right? But the core thing that gave you this was the ability to sell, right? And convey your message to your clients and your benefit, right? And that was a skill, a muscle that you had to put to work, right? So you're teaching your son really, really early, and that's amazing, right? And you're a graduated engineer, right? So that could design these chipsets or circuit sets for Bitcoin mining. So obviously you know education, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's amazing that you're putting so much time into the sales skills as well, right? And if he likes cryptocurrency, it's big. That's the future too, right? Like, I personally don't understand it or don't believe in most of it, right? So I'm still skeptical in some aspects of it, but I'm seeing the writing on the wall too, right? So
Mhm.
by his generation or the next generation after that, that may be commonplace.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so getting in early, that's freaking amazing, man. That's freaking amazing. So, before we wrap this up, so tell me, like, what's your goals for this next steps in your journey here for the coming future? So, if you look back at this podcast and you go, man, I absolutely nailed it, what would that be?
So I mean, the real cool thing that I have right now is I have a really good team, and that was one of the things that embarking on this journey that was really really important. Team, family, those are really important values of mine. And so moving forward, the main goals is I would love to create a sales team that the culture and this is where it's really getting important with the design of this is building a sales culture that is going to work on helping each other and growing. And the better you do, the more it feeds off of itself. So working on that. Also too, I just have tons of knowledge. So I'm going to be putting that into a course. One of the biggest things to do for this is I understand you can have your sales process and everything, but probably the hardest part I find is that fact finding part of the sellers. Because every time you get on the phone, they're telling you, no, I'm busy. No, I don't want to sell. Just give me an offer, all these simple things. And really quite often there's distress behind, each one of those little objection factors, and you can still get them an offer. And it's not until you give them an offer that you actually understand what's going on with them, or even have them under contract, that you actually find out where the true motivation is. So there's a big, I just did a big fact finding script that I've just created over years of how you actually find the motivation, because they make it sound so easy on YouTube. So that was one of the things I wanted to do. But the hiring and the moving into the scaling and growing that sales team is really what one of my major goals is over the next little while.
That's pretty amazing. But you did hit on something that you said, growing your team, right? So
Yeah.
you're not a one man shop there.
No.
You're hiring. You're working within the local economy here. You're using outside resources. What's your team look like right now? What are your plans to grow to?
So my team, actually, we just hired someone today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome, man. That's pretty awesome. So because you can't do everything, right? You definitely need a team. You need somebody that handles admin better than you do, right? You need somebody so that you start working your way out of the lower demanding jobs, right? Like your paperwork, your admin, your transactions, things like that. But you started on the phones, but you're now probably working your way. You're not really cold calling, 5,000, 10,000 pointless records. You're concentrating your sales skills on your warmer leads, right? And you're
Yeah.
that's that.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, yeah, I'm definitely, and that's one of the biggest learning curves too, is how to get those warmer leads. Because there was a time where I was banging phones and just pulling leads out of random records and hitting my 10,000 calls. And that's what I tell everyone. I'm like, you just got to hit 10,000 calls. You hit 10,000 calls, it'll change your life. But I mean, it is pretty grueling with that cold record calling. But now it's we've been able to, we got a good CRM and that stuff, and that really helps. And so now it's all right, who are people that actually want an offer? Who are people that want to talk to you and spend that time with you? And actually, now it's kind of cool. We have, several properties under contract, and they're talking to their neighbors, and their neighbors are now referring that to us.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, I know we've done several deals together, and most of everybody that we've worked with, I mean, I say most, but actually everyone that we've worked with has had a great experience. We've done what we said we were going to do. So the thing is that you were hiring even though that you're not even living there, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
it's so your brick and mortar isn't limited to where you're at physically, right? You've expanded this reach, man, and it's an awesome business model that you have. So I'm glad that you shared your experience living abroad. And living abroad, you don't have any power issues, power grid issues, anything like that. I know I'm always teasing you, but you seem to be managing just great, man.
Yeah, I mean, luckily in the place that we're in, we do have a power generator, and that thing kicks on, a couple times a day. It was actually really interesting because we were here at this place, and there was like a month we barely had any water. It was just like pipe burst, pipe burst, pipe burst.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just don't know how to do the piping or whatever it is. And like I remember the one day I'm sitting here, water's been off for 3-4 days, and you can literally hear the water going through the building. I was like, oh no, we're gonna be go do dishes right now, and then out of water again.
So those are the types of inconveniences that you see in here, basically. But that hasn't been, you've been there a long time now, so
been there for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you've been interrupted at all, because every time I reach you, you're constantly doing business, so that's pretty awesome. But you just keep rocking it, man. I absolutely love the story, dude. And well, we talk pretty regularly, so I'm sure I'll catch up with you again, man. But I'm glad you came on to the audience here and shared a little bit about your story. And hey, if you want to share where anybody can reach you, man, if you want to give them your Instagram handle or Facebook or wherever you want, man, stage is yours.
Yeah, so you can reach me, Chanse Cornick on Facebook, and on Instagram, Chanse MT, so CHANSE MT, or you can send me an email at Chanse CHANSE at R&Rbuyers.com, and that's spelled RANDRBUYERS.com. That's also our website too. You can check it out. We had a pretty cool marketing company do our website. It looks great.
Good deal, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us. And again, I'd like to say thanks to my guest Chanse today, R&R Home Buyers. If you guys are looking for a deal, off-market stuff, man, he's great. So have a good one, Chanse. I appreciate you, buddy.
All right.